How you doing? It's another week of sadness and despair, that's assuming if you still care. I try in general to emphasize the good in life and push aside the bad, but then there's attending a Titans game in which a team who hadn't won since October came to town and beat the Titans 36-7. So here's my interpretive dance on how I feel about the game. This is what it's like to attend a Titans game in December when they have 2 wins and they're playing a really sucky team and they get blown out and it's really cold. This is Bud Light Margarita. Very similar to what I drank when I lost the bet with the Fantasy Asylum guys. So here we go. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Thumbs up. Oh, wow. Woo, yeah.
That looked all kinds of nasty. I'm drinking a Blackstone Nut Brown Ale.
Man. Woo, I don't know if I can see my life flashing in front of me. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, how are you doing tonight, Sharona? Let's do the how you doing
I'm
first.
actually doing really great.
While I emotionally recover from this moment.
I'm doing great, Zach. Thanks for asking. I actually got a nap this afternoon, so I'm sort of feeling myself a little bit. I slept about a little over 2 hours. It was great. I don't get a lot of sleep I had some fun over the weekend, and then I don't get a lot of sleep from Sunday through Tuesday night, and so it was kind of nice to have a nap, and now I'm all excited to talk how great the Titans are and how awesome I'm doing in fantasy football this year.
You had fun this weekend, so you obviously didn't go to the game, and, well, you,
Not go to the game,
you
but I'm
did watch
forced
it
to
because you
watch
did a
it.
recap. You could have
I'm
maybe
forced to
looked at
watch
it, but anyway, we're at all.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, so what does it taste like? Well, it's like the 5 stages of grief in one little can. Acceptance is clear because you're telling yourself that not only is this a beer, it's festive beer. Fake mango flavor adds a lot to the Bud Light flavor profile. So are you jealous, Sharona, or are you enjoying your own tasty beer?
I've got to say, I'm good. I'm enjoying, local beer. I like to support the local beer producers, and Nashville produces a lot of good beer. So if you're watching out there and you haven't visited Nashville, a reason to come.
Yes, it is quite good stuff because I bought a 6-pack of that, and I paid less for that 6-pack than I paid for one beer when I was in the stadium on Sunday. So that's the way you go. But my follow-up beer, the one that actually tastes like beer, is A-Town Brown from Red
Oh,
Brick.
yeah.
That actually is a local company. See, I had a nice road trip this weekend. I went to the University of Tennessee Chattanooga playoff game on Saturday, and then I decided to press my luck and go to the Titans on Sunday. So you can tell which team had the best weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it was very top-heavy. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
So it started out well and ended about like you would have expected?
Pretty much. Let's say it was a very fried chicken heavy weekend.
Oh,
I got a
that
fried
sounds good.
chicken biscuit on the way up, and then I got a chicken tender combo at the first game, and then at the Titans game I had a chicken tender. And then on Monday on the way back I stopped at Champy's Chicken in downtown Chattanooga and had some wings, and it was all
There you
good.
go.
And
I
I
had
think I put
fried
on some
chicken
weight.
Saturday too. It was yummy. And chicken wings today.
So you seem to be winning at life, but
Before
you're
I
not
had
winning.
before I had my awesome nap, the plan was to go get an awesome muffaletta sandwich from one of the local
Muffalata?
deli. Yeah, muffaletta.
So
And
yeah, I heard you had a traumatic experience, like your place
it's
shut down.
closed. They closed it. I was like devastated. It was like a big knife in the old heart there. And so then I remembered that it's Wings Wednesday, and I was like, I'll console myself
Wings.
with wings. And so I ordered wings, and as I was outside paying for them to the delivery man, who comes trotting out, but
Mm.
Little Miss Thing, my dog has been on one for like a couple of weeks now. We definitely need a vacation from one another. I can tell you. So if you want to borrow a dog out there, she's great. We just need
We need space.
we need some space.
I had no idea. Yeah, so Yeah, I started the weekend in historical fashion. University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, FCS, never hosted a playoff game in their entire football history, and they were the number 8 seed, so they got a bye. And Indiana State came to visit, and I have to say, I remember the Larry Bird Indiana State, the light blue. They had a dark blue. That doesn't go. You got to go light blue, I'm thinking. But they basically blew them out. Well, there were a lot of funny parts. It was kind of like going to a high school game because it was basically like the families of the players, and they were like talking to them during the game. It was good stuff. But they have a jumbotron at UTC, and it's about the size of my TV. You have to actually like squint to see it. It's quite different than the size of like four houses ones that they have at the Titans game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even the ones at Tennessee are kind of small in relation, but proving the lower level of football, they absolutely destroyed them. But they actually had 4 possessions inside the 10 where they didn't score, 2 blocked field goals, and a missed field goal from about 20
Wow.
yards. I'm like, if you think 1A kickers are bad, go to 1AA. But hey, they did one. Their first playoff win, and they are traveling to New Hampshire, and they're actually going to be on ESPN2 on Friday, so I might actually watch that.
Oh, awesome. We'll have to definitely check that out, too.
They basically run the spread kind of offense like Missouri does, and they basically ran
Kind of like
the
the Jets are going to run against the Titans and win?
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I was going to say, so after UTC, I went to my in-laws' house and watched Missouri get plowed by...
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because this is probably like I'd say the 3rd or 4th best team in Missouri history, and they were, on the same field for about 3 quarters, 2.5. And yeah, it's unfortunate when the narrative goes as everybody wants it to, especially when it's against you. But yeah, and then on Sunday I went to the Titans game. And the thing about Giants fans, are a little bit more obnoxious than Dallas fans, I think, but they have good throwback jerseys. I mean, you can't really argue with a Lawrence Taylor. Maybe off the field, but on the field you can't.
I was trying to say you can't.
Lots of Eli. I just remember him. Was it Waterboy where he had the cameo where he said kids don't use drugs? That was a good one. But anyway, yeah, it was pretty much a lost cause from the beginning. What was it? They held him to a field goal in the first drive.
Were there any Strahan jerseys there?
I actually saw it was like 45% Eli Manning, 40% Jason Pierre-Paul, a smattering. They didn't have too many embarrassing ones. Like they had Tiki Barber, which is fine. I didn't see a Mark Bavaro. Lots of Super Bowl ones to remind you that as pathetic as the team's been lately, they've won 2 Super Bowls in the last decade, so they can shut the beep up about their team. But that was about it. It was odd that I saw a couple people wearing Jets gear. I'm like, you guys are a week early. How pathetic is the Titans are playing? So they played the Giants last week, who had lost like 6 or 7 in a row, and now they played the Jets, and they beat the Steelers like 2 months ago, and yeah, that's where we are right now. We are in the factory of sadness.
Yeah, we are. We need to come up with our own miserable term for being a Titans fan now.
Well, here's a narrative I've seen. It's the guy who does the draw play. He does a lot of like the little NFL cartoons.
Draw play, Dave.
He posted an article. I can't remember if it was Kissing Susie Colbert, saying that the Titans are basically a myth and they didn't exist. That's how bad they are. And I swear I saw Dave Damashek post something similar today on Twitter that like the Titans actually haven't existed for the past 4 years. It's like that like a Twilight Zone episode where you've been dead for a decade kind of thing. They even when they're bad, they still don't really get any attention. People are still paying attention to the Jets and, well, I'd say the Bucks, but not really, and the Raiders because they were really bad. So they're still kind of the ignored bad team. And yeah, for some horrible reason, I am going to be starting the Titans defense in fantasy this week.
I've seen that there's supposedly a streaming option, which makes 0 sense, and you're a fucking fool if you do it. But go ahead.
Well, the reason why is because the Jets have like
given
out a defensive touchdown to like everybody, and Geno Smith, unless he hands the ball off 47 times, which he should, like they shouldn't pass the ball once. The Jets this week, they should just run it every down, and they'll probably be okay. They could probably pass it every down and be okay, even though they have like Eric Decker and a bunch of guys that might not even make the Titans at this point. But yeah, it was sad that the only hope left was the starting duo of Nate Washington and Derek Hagan and even Chris Durham. They were like, even the announcers were like, Chris Durham, he's still on the team? And I was like, who? When did we get him? Because I remember they picked him up like when roster cuts happened, and
yeah,
he hasn't even been like active until the past 3 weeks.
Yes,
so it was a pretty bad blowout. It did include the one really dumb Eli interception where when Eli moves forward, you can tell he doesn't want to do it, and he threw the ball right to a Marquiston Huff, and he ran in for like a 10-yard touchdown. I mean, it's like even a rookie, you'd be like, man, you like, did they let a ball boy on the field for a play? Because that's how bad that throw was. In the midst of an absolute blowout. Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard to say that they'll do any better against the Jets, but the Jets are equally pathetic. But who knows? We got Rex Rod, we got the Chris Johnson revenge game. I didn't get to hear a lot about the press conference, I guess, today. They did a call with him, I heard. I don't know how it went, other than people talking about how they never understood what he said when he was on the team, so what's the difference?
Yeah, I don't know. I slept through all that, didn't I? Haven't. I saw John Glennon posted an article about
I could never do that again. Whew, sorry. John Glennon.
Anyway, it was an article about CJ. I respect the hell out of John Glennon, but and I'm going to read the article, but with all due respect, one of the Titans' biggest mistakes, first of all, was giving CJ the contract extension that they gave him and then hanging on to him as long as they did. They easily should have moved on a year earlier. So, anyway, my opinion, obviously. So.
Yeah, it was weird because he had basically 3 years where he was majorly underpaid and then 3 years where he was majorly overpaid. And really, the way they used him his rookie year was the best when he had like 250 touches, and he wasn't even really the starter. And he never, even with the Jets, he's not a goal line back. Like he's never been that. So yeah, making him like a rotational guy, and that's fine. But the whatever year they paid him, the $8 million a year, was kind of crazy. So it was nice that they let him go.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel right now with the NFL. Yeah.
You know, it's weird. Adam Shine wrote an article, I think it was on NFL.com, and he was talking about the Titans, and it was like a thing about there were like 6 or 7 things on there that needed to happen, that were overdue or whatever, and one of them was that the Titans needed to fire Rustin Webster. So, interesting thing. But he likes Ken Wisenhunt. I say, why, if you're going to fire Rustin Webster, it's time you just clean house. Let your new GM bring in his coach or her coach.
Yeah. Is there a female coach anywhere? I know there's like a female assistant in the NBA.
Yeah.
But in football,
theoretically,
there's like one female official somewhere, but that's like college. But anyway, yes. And to make things even more exciting, it's time to bring back the one, the only, number 10, and number 1 in your hearts, Jake Locker, who has managed to throw 3 interceptions and 23 passes in the past 2 weeks. But he is going against the Jets that only have 3 interceptions all year, so who knows? Immovable object, irresistible force, whatever. That's what we have on this weekend. Literally, like, who are they going to, like, when they say Jets versus Titans, who do they say for the Titans? Yeah, Titans. Remember when Jarrell Casey had all those sacks last year? Titans. Yeah, that's kind of it. And it's a late afternoon game, too, so, like, I don't know. What are the odds that you're going to be at the game this weekend?
What do you think?
0-0? You having fried chicken at home, watching the game?
Well, I mean, beyond the fact that it's way cheaper to do it at home and easier and all kinds of things because having to haul the stuff that I need to try to cover the game from the bleachers or in that clear bag is not it's just not the most conducive. So it's just easier for me not to do that. And besides, I found the game day experience to be pretty horrible when I was there that one time, and so I just don't really intend to go back.
Huh.
It's better.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, they got like, oh, we have Wi-Fi this year. Great. Now I can look at the scores of the other games. At least there's something. But yeah, of course, I got a new phone and actually had battery in it. When I get to the game, no
So Zach
Sharona.
says,
So, well, you can only take my word for it, and really you shouldn't. You know,
Bobby Rainey, Bobby Rainey, Bobby Rainey.
he has so much upside. Up to like a 13th round of a mock dynasty, and nobody's taken him yet. So maybe there's still hope. Uh, so we talk NFL playoffs, about teams that actually exist, or we like, eh?
Yeah, sure. With a win this weekend, Green Bay can clinch a playoff spot. So, I don't. Are they the first team to clinch a playoff spot? I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody has. I know last week it was like if the Colts won and the Texans lost, they won the division, but they got this division. They're playing them this weekend, so Colts and Texans. Uh, yeah.
There've
It's
been
got to be
several
close.
teams. Several teams obviously are eliminated. The Titans being one of them.
Yeah. Well, it seems like things have evened out a little bit, but there are going to be one or two teams with a really good record. Like, I mean, the Cardinals are 10-3 in the NFC, and I think they're going to have trouble to win another game. I was kind of surprised they won last week. Way to go, Chiefs! Um, at least threw it to Travis Kelce some, saved me in fantasy. But yeah, I think
How
right
you doing
now,
in fantasy this year, Zach? How'd you do?
well, 5 leagues, and I'm still in two of them. So was that 40%? Is that good? I did beat my dad in the glorious rematch in the playoffs.
That's good.
This happened 2 years ago. I played my dad in the first round. I beat him. Then I had to play my friend Don in the semifinals, and I beat him. And I lost to my other friend Chuck, who's the obnoxious lawyer guy, in the championship. And all three of us are in the same. All four of us are in the same division. And it could happen again this year because I beat Dad, and now I'm playing Don again, and Chuck's in the other bracket. So we call our division the Division of Champions and Zach because the last time I won was in 2003. I'm kind of like the Titans. I had a reign of glory that seems very distant right now. But I did win. It was kind of a low-scoring win. I had, like Jeremy Hill and Mark Ingram and Jordan Matthews on my team, and I have Johnny Football, but I think it's going to be Tony Romo in the rematch against the Eagles for me. And yeah, I actually picked up Marcel Reese, so that's how desperate I've been for running back help.
I picked up Chris Johnson.
Oh yeah, see, I was like Chris Johnson or Chris Ivory against the Titans. It's unfortunate they don't have one guy because I think, yeah, they're gonna have a pretty good game. Because it seemed like they were actually shutting down the Giants' run game, and then Andre Williams ran for that like 50-yard touchdown. I was like, oh, okay. I don't think Andre Williams is much faster than like Eddie George was after he like broke his foot. So, but he had a nice run there. So
He had he had a very nice game. So he was doing so well that they were like, let's see how Rashad's doing. We'll throw him in there a few times, and he did awesome. And they're like, oh yeah, we're good. We'll
yeah,
play the healthy guy.
what's weird about Andre Williams is he led the NCAA in rushing last year, and I don't even think he got a pass thrown at him the entire year. But the Giants seem to just like we have to try to throw the ball to the guy with like kind of frying pan hands. But they were throwing him screen passes all day. But really, it was whatever they wanted to do is working. It was the defense wasn't offering much of a.
I don't think that that's a bad thing. I mean, wanting to get you want your running back to be able to have some skills in that, and that they're trying to get him better at doing that. To me, I think that's smart.
Well, in a way, I feel a little bad for Rashad Jennings, but at least he's had his one shot at being a starter, and he does okay. He just gets hurt every like third
Yeah,
game.
he's
So
going to be fine. He
plus
just, he was only 50%, and he's a better running back than Andre Williams. No, nobody disagrees with that. There was just no reason to play him.
not really, yeah. And Odell Beckham looks pretty good. Poor Mettenberger got broken.
Oh, God.
I think the same thing didn't it happen to Locker a couple years ago? Like he injured his shoulder, then he came back, and then he got his shoulder re-injured like a week later.
Exactly the same thing that happened.
So it's, I mean, as an NFL player, you're like a sixth round rookie, you're like, well, I got to prove myself to make it on the field, so I'm going to be tough. But they're going to be in a weird position because I think the Titans may end up getting the number one pick, and then do you want to get that quarterback, or do you think Mettenberger's the guy? I don't really know what we've seen enough just because of how crappy the offensive line was, and especially they got extra crappy, like extra crispy chicken right after like all those injuries happened.
Wow, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
I mean, he got sacked like 5 times.
He got sacked 5 times.
And this is not a
Locker
stout
got sacked, I
Giants
think, twice, something like that.
defensive line. They're pretty bad. When that
Did
guy
you see
ran,
my numbers? I went back and looked at the numbers. Did you see my numbers on how often the Titans used a running back or a tight end to try to help out the offensive line?
is that not often?
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't max protect. I think they had a lineup once that was had to be your favorite. You had to be cheering at the TV when it happened. When they had Dexter McCluster and Leon Washington on the field at the same time on offense. So glorious. I thought McCluster or Washington, one of them was inactive because they gave Antonio Andrews the kick return gig. It's like they've been trying different guys at kick returner, and it hasn't been going well. But Sean Green was inactive. Yay. You know why? Because they're saving him for the revenge game. Revenge. Not Chris Johnson, it's Sean Green. He's going to be the sneaky fantasy start of the year. Actually, no, you should be put into some kind of asylum if you start him this week. And is he actually on any rosters anymore?
I have not looked lately. I would hazard a guess that he's probably owned in about 8% of fantasy leagues because at any given time, at least 8% of fantasy football players are idiots.
That's really low. I bet 8%.
At least that's the floor.
I bet 8% of rosters have like Tim Tebow on them. I mean, come on. At least he's in the league, man. At least he's doing it, sort of. But yeah, I don't even know what much there is to say. I did hear that Geno Smith said he sometimes has been playing at a Pro Bowl level, and Rex Ryan, I think, pretty quickly said no.
And that sound you hear is a collective nation laughing its ass off?
Well, it's not quite like last week, but it's similar in that Tom Coughlin's been with the Giants for a while, and it does seem like this is it for him. This is like his last year, his last stand. Rex Ryan seems like he's in the same position. Like either he's going to be the defensive coordinator for somebody next year, or some other team is going to give him a shot. Hopefully a team with a really good offensive coordinator because he doesn't care about scoring points. That's so quaint. So it is weird that, 2 straight weeks of kind of lame duck. And then next week, the Jaguars. A team that sadly might be 1 year ahead of the Titans in that they've at least admitted they're rebuilding and, cleaned house. Cleaned house. Our house is not clean. It is unclean. We are unclean. We need some kind of football exorcism.
We do need an exorcism, definitely.
I mean, yeah.
Definitely. I'm actually working on an article that sort of addresses that.
About them cleaning house?
About, about what it might take for the Titans to ever become successful again.
Oh, and it seems so.
You can tell everybody, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
I mean, the 49ers are clearly with Harbaugh, which is odd. 3 straight years of NFC Championship game, and then 1 year of. I mean, it seems like you lose a locker room quick in the NFL these days. I mean, they lost to the Raiders. You could tell something's wrong. Their offense is just horrible.
Their
Tom
offense is
Kaepernick
horrible.
got the contract, and it doesn't seem like they have anything on offense. All of a sudden, they can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. Defense is a little bit beat up.
Navarro Bowman's back, and there's no guarantee. Well, he's back on the 53. Curious to see if he ever does play again this year. They've kind of the inside linebacker position. Patrick Willis. I know I've got Peyton on the brain. Patrick Willis.
You do.
Patrick Willis injured. Well, I think it was his toe, and ended up on injured reserve. And Ahmad Brooks isn't happy, and they've got a lot of issues. It's really, when teams start losing and they're not used to it, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing at all, because I think that you do get too much complacency in losing, and I think that has a little bit been part of the Titans' problem, and Bernard Pollard and Delaney Walker have touched on that. But anyway, back to my original point. When teams start losing uncharacteristically in a bad fashion, and they're not used to it, you start to see things like that, and you're seeing it now in New Orleans with the Saints.
I don't know. It's feeling characteristic to me with the Titans.
Well, and I'm not talking about the Titans. I'm talking about the Niners.
Like the
Titans players are. I mean, you're not going to hear a peep out of Titans players. They're too afraid to talk.
Like the Giants were on this big losing streak, and they showed up for this game. They're like, oh, we may be deflated, but we're not as deflated as the Titans. Yeah, I don't know. The whole NFC South is a bizarre division of suck, a black hole of hopelessness.
Was it you? No, it was Jamal. Did you read the Football Outsiders article that the AFC South might actually be worse than the NFC South?
Oh, no, I didn't see that, but
I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. I'll send it to you.
But the Texans will be 2 games leader. But it's like the only time an NFC South team has a chance to win is when they're playing either the Steelers or their own division. And the AFC South's kind of the same, except for the Colts, who occasionally beat mediocre teams. Like they beat the Browns with Brian Hoyer, whose name will live in infamy. That was the thing. Fantasy football Twitter was going bonkers last week. Finally, Johnny Football's going to play. I can start him in DFS. I can get him off waivers. He's going to save my team. And then the coach was like, no, Hoyer's a leader guy. Those numbers have been, really horrible for the past 6 weeks, but he's a leader and we like him, and he sucked again last week, and they lost. And I bet if the Colts didn't come up to win that game, they would have kept him.
The word if Brian Hoyer controlled his own destiny, and I kept saying, dude just needed to shut up and play, because he was out there throwing that champagne game with a beer, with champagne shade with a beer game, and you just can't do that. He was just too worried about the Johnny Manziel situation. He just needed to play, and he wasn't playing. The word is that the coaches don't want to turn to Johnny Manziel, that they're not entirely pleased with the maturation process, and there's still things that they're not happy about. But you know what? They don't need to come to me with a big shot look on their face, because they knew what they were getting when they drafted him.
You said champagne. I think he's Bud Light Margarita game.
I think he is too.
That is so bad. Ugh.
But you know what I'm talking about. He's out there talking about. Anyway, I don't. Yeah, and I like Brian Hoyer, but
It reminds me of the whole situation with the Titans and Vince Young, where basically the owner had to force Jeff Fisher to start Vince Young in 2009. If the coach doesn't like the quarterback, why do you have the quarterback then?
He forced it in 2006 and in
Yeah, in both
2009.
cases they were totally desperate, and it's just that yeah that spark quarterback, but then he's not playing within the offense. Although, isn't this the same offensive coordinator who had RG3 as a rookie? I feel like they could do something with the offense there. We made a noise there. Is it okay?
I'm
Everything good in Nashville?
sorry. I told you I was turned up.
Yes, there's some turnt going on. Turnt! How many times are we going to third down for what during the Tax Slayer Bowl? Tax Slayer Bowl!
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting name for a college bowl.
I feel like they just took all the college bowls and like put them in a blender because I don't even know. Like the hierarchy is totally different than it used to be. I'm glad that Missouri's playing in the Citrus Bowl, but it's sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings, and I swear there was another Buffalo Wild Wings bowl last year that was like third rate. That was kind of like I think it might have been in Charlotte, where I think that's where Tennessee's playing. You don't even know where these bowls are anymore. It's like there's a
You
Cactus
don't.
Bowl. There's a bowl with crappy Conference USA and MAC teams in like the Bahamas. And that whole story sounds like basically some government official okayed the whole deal, and it was like they basically gave all the rights to the U.S. Very strange, but yeah, 38 bowl games, and we do have a college playoff going on, and somehow Missouri didn't make the cut. I was very sad about that. It had to be close, but I don't know. Do you think Ohio State was like you probably talked about this on your show? But Ohio State were they just the name brand that got in over Baylor and TCU because they had the
I have talked about it. I actually was on a couple of different podcasts talking about it.
mm,
You know, the committee, the guidelines for the committee include the ability to look at a variety of things, and one of them is the injury situation. And I like to clown Urban Meyer as much as anybody. And, I think that what you saw at Florida was, you haven't seen it as much because it just hasn't come out yet. I, I don't think that Urban Meyer cares. I'm not saying that he should. I'm just saying I don't think that he necessarily cares about character, when it comes to his recruiting process or um, making sure that he follows the guidelines. And I wouldn't say that he's alone there. But having said all that, I think that he is a good coach. And obviously, he has recruited very well. And what Ohio State did when they were down to their string quarterback is actually pretty amazing. And so I don't really have. I understand where TCU and Baylor are coming from, but this is to me why we need to have at least an 18 playoff.
Yeah, it does strike me as a little weird that in one AA they managed to get a 2014 playoff. Five potential rounds, and I think there's a gap somewhere in there, so
Now,
they
that's
could,
a
in
little
theory,
much.
go to a class or whatever. No
What
way,
do
man.
you
A
think?
2014 playoff would be great because at least Missouri would be in. I don't know. See, Tennessee might have made it with 24 teams. Maybe not, huh?
Be serious. Are you being serious? If you're serious, that's
I
cool.
want 24, sure. I
Oh,
mean,
God.
8, sure. 16, even better. But 8, I think they could
Too
do it.
many.
Hmm. Too many, huh?
Yep.
Like there's such a thing as too many beers? I don't believe ya.
Oh, mister, I'm stopping at 3 because I gotta.
Oh, was that
Turned
the
down for what?
well, that was Saturday night, and I was at the in-laws' house. They did buy me beer. That was nice. You
That
usually don't
is
have.
very nice. You sound like you have nice in-laws.
Yeah, I come back to the house, and there's ribs and twice baked potatoes and bread, and then there's pie. And the assumption is I'm going to eat 2 pieces of pie. And I'm like, well, what are the parents going to do to step it up? What are they going to do? Oh, they're going to serve me like a pound and a half steak. Okay, that's pretty good. So we had that going for us.
Well, it sounds like you had a good food weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, you have that going for you. That means the floor is high. like kind of like what you want in fantasy football. So how are your fantasy teams? Do you have big matchups this weekend? Do you have tough
I do.
roster
I've got
choices?
two teams. I'm in third place. I was in first place, and then I was an idiot and didn't pay that much attention to my roster. And then I had a bad week, but I'm still in third place in my MCM Yahoo League, and so I'm doing really well in that. And I'm in the consolation bracket in my NFL Female Fantasy League. I didn't make the. I need to go. I had two teams. My dynasty team actually won last weekend.
Delaney.
I've got good players on that team that are going to. I need to look and see how many we keep. But I made some good decisions in that league. It hasn't paid off this year, but in Dynasty, as you know, it's all about building, and so I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
actually excited. My dynasty team fell apart and I ended up 4-9, but I traded Matt Forte to get Mike Evans, so I feel like that was a win.
that's a
And
good
now
move.
I'm gonna get like the second or third pick in the rookie draft next year, so
I've got Eddie Lacy and Kelvin Benjamin in my Dynasty League.
I could get like Amari Cooper or one of those. It seems like it's a running back heavy draft, but it's still kind of early. I don't really know all the guys coming out.
We should
And
talk
this
draft.
year's
What do you think if the Titans get the number one pick? What should they do? We need to have
I
a
would
draft show. That's what we
well,
should do. Since the Titans suck so hard, nobody really wants to talk about the games. We should start doing draft shows.
I did get Josh Norris of Roto World into my dynasty league, so maybe I can talk him into showing up and talking about who's available. I mean, I don't know a lot of names yet. I mean, if the Titans really think Mettenberger is their guy and they get the number one pick, they could probably get the Bucks or the Jets maybe to trade up. They're not going to get an RG3 kind of deal, but they could get maybe an extra first round
We
pick.
talked about that last night. Jamal does not. He is not a. Mariota is a top 10 draft pick kind of guy. I'd say, regardless, he's not a Wisenhunt kind of guy. And so
We
I
can
think
dream we have a whole new coach, although I don't know, who we'd pick up.
we're stuck with what we've got for 2 more years. I've seen the bout numbers;
Really?
they suck. So anyway,
How much money do they have?
not that the billionaires can't afford it, but we know how that works.
Just charge $5 for a side of fries instead of four next year, or $5 for a bottle of water instead of four. They got it. They got it. They got it going on. They're gonna be just fine. I mean, did you see Florida? They had what, a $6 million they had to pay with Muschamp. You're
They
freaking
do it in
pros.
college all the time, and
And they had a
it's
$7 million buyout with like
yeah.
Colorado State, and they're like, screw it, we got you. I hope you have a follow up there. I don't want you to run out of beer before the show's over. That's a tough situation.
I just want you to know that I kicked your ass in beer drinking tonight.
Hey,
Okay.
this is taking one for the team and many teams. I'm glad I got a little one of these. It's not a big one, because oh boy,
It looks like it's rank.
it's nasty.
Nasty!
I mean, it's weird because it has this like fake aftertaste thing going on. I don't know how you could possibly enjoy that. I don't even think you could be drunk enough to go, this is good. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, one of the advantages of coming back on a Monday is we have this big liquor store called Total Wine near us. So I went there and I just loaded up on beer. Very good stuff, including some chocolate stouts. And you can make fun of me as much as you want, but they're delicious.
I
Dessert in
don't.
a
It's
bottle.
all. Listen, it's all with love, Zach. I actually
Hmm.
think that it is one of your more endearing
Oh boy,
things that you like chocolate stout.
that's nice. Thank you. That's
The Blackstone Nut Brown Ale has a little tinge of that. It's really good.
yeah. I have a 6-pack in the fridge. I'm all set. So how weird is it? Now we're back to kind of NFL talk.
Okay.
They're already talking about, because this is the local team for me, the Falcons. They're already talking about them just tanking the game against the Steelers, since they only need, basically, if they can win the game against the Saints and the Panthers to finish the year, they win the division. So because Julio Jones is hurt, and that had to hurt lots of fantasy people, we had in our local league, the guy who had Julio Jones was only down by like 11, and I thought he might actually come back and win, and he was down by like 50. So would an NFL team do that? You think the Falcons would just say, all right, we can lose to the Steelers? Of course, the Steelers don't seem to show up against those NFC South teams. It's very
I
odd.
don't know that that's tanking. I think that's being smart with roster management. I also own Julio Jones, by the way, in my Yahoo League. No, wait. Or is it my NFL Female League? No, it's Demaryius Thomas in my NFL
Oh,
Female
if you had
League.
Demaryius Thomas, you were very sad last week.
Yes, I was very sad.
I mean,
I still won, though.
the guy in our league who has the high-scoring team, and he's the number one seed left. Yeah, he has Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
In fact,
The
let me
sad thing
see.
is, in our league, all 4 top seeds lost, including the number one seed, who had the lowest score of any team had this entire year. It's pretty bad luck. It's like the 3rd or 4th time he's been the number one seed and lost in the first round. Because you know what happens in fantasy playoffs? Crazy stuff. Like Demaryius Thomas probably had a low of like 20 points in the past 8 games, and this week he had 2 catches for like 11 yards. And I can't think it's just coaching with the Broncos going with this run-heavy thing. I'm not sure about how this team's going to do this year. Their playoffs are bust. I'm thinking they might end up busting. I think they might end up losing like their first-round playoff game. But who knows? It's only football, right?
It's only football. I'm wrong. Hang on. I do have him in my. I actually have Julio Jones and Demaryius Thomas in my NFL Female League.
That's pretty good. What's all the other females up to? Letting you get those 2.
Hang on
Julio in
just
the
a second.
second? That's not bad. Because he.
Hold on. I've got.
I know he had injury concerns when the year started, so he dropped a little bit.
I have. This was my starting lineup last week. That's why I was okay. That's why I won anyway, despite Demaryius Thomas. Tony Romo. I actually picked up Chris Johnson and inserted him into my lineup.
Well, that was good.
Picked up Jonathan Stewart and put him in there. Demaryius Thomas. Added Nate Washington and played him. Not a smart move. Delaney Walker, Julio Jones, and then on my bench, I still haven't moved away from Jonas Gray. I got to do that. Went back and picked up Latavius Murray. I'm going to play him this week. I've got Bishop Sankey, Jarvis Landry, Jordan Matthews, Zach Ertz. So we've got defensive players too. So
that's a lot of Titans. You should get Derek Hagan. He's going to be awesome.
You know, why did I pick up? I picked up Nate because I think there was a day that Demaryius didn't practice. And I picked up Nate just to replace Justin Hunter. That's what I did.
Oh, Justin.
Too
soon. Yeah, we got to start talking about these Tennessee receivers, you know? I don't know about this thing. Cordarrelle Patterson and Justin Hunter have been 2 of the biggest disappointments.
Yeah.
Getting passed up by Jarius Wright in the starting lineup. That's not so good.
No.
But when an event like the Cam Newton accident happens, it makes you wonder, like, historical events, what would Twitter have been like? Like, what would Twitter have been like on the JFK day? It would have been crazy.
It would have been crazy.
Because the Cam Newton, basically around lunchtime yesterday, my Twitter account just blew up. Like, Cam Newton in an accident, Cam Newton in an accident. And then they showed him in a stretcher, like taped down, and they showed his destroyed truck. And you're like, something really bad has just happened. And then someone posted that he broke his legs. And then I'd swear
that was weird.
5 minutes later they said he's fine, and they actually showed pictures of him smiling before he got put in the hospital, put in the ambulance. And it turned out, well, at first it looked like he was fine, and then he hurt his transverse process, which now we all know about backs and fractured back bones, much like Tony Romo had. But the whole thing traveled the gamut in about I don't know, an hour or so. But it was a pretty crazy ride there, and it's just like random. Like remember when Ben Roethlisberger had that motorcycle accident? He didn't have like a helmet on. He went, of course, his head bounced off the pavement, and he's okay because he's got a thick skull apparently. And long term turned out okay, but it sounds like Derek Anderson time, everybody. Fantasy streamer, come on. You know you want some.
I'm going to have to play DFS next year. I'm not going to do it this year. But next year, watch out.
Well, I was thinking last week I was going to do it, and then I don't know. It seems like you got to do a lot of work. I don't want to do it half-assed like the rest of my fantasy pursuits have been this year, it seems. I want to, be able to know what I'm talking about. There's a lot to think about, and then it seems like there are about 50 sites that do it now, not just the main ones. But yeah, so fantasy football playoffs. So is the MCM the one you want to win the most? Is that the most exciting, or?
I just want to win one. I want to continue my streak of having a championship. I think I'm on my 4th or 5th year of doing that with at least one team. Now, bear in mind that it's just one team, and I've got other teams that suck hard, but that's why you play. That's why you have multiple teams.
Yeah, I need to be in more leagues, it looks like. We'll see. I'm in 2 semifinals.
I'm only in 4 this year.
Yeah, I really wonder if as many people are going to do like redraft as usual. People are going to go to like Dynasty and DFS because it's so popular. And with DFS, you can have any player you want. I mean, with a redraft team, you feel attached and stuck with certain players all year. I finally did get rid of Shane Vereen. That felt so freeing to let go of him. He's just been so thoroughly mediocre, and then of late, they just stopped using him almost exclusively. I mean, I remember last year he had a couple games where he had like 10 catches, and this year it's like nothing. It's like, let's grab that LeGarrette Blount dude. Remember the Titans used to have him? Oh.
A lot of people used to have him.
Yeah, he's been around. But when it comes to like the fantasy playoffs, it seems that we start acting like kind of the NFL playoffs. Teams kind of get a little more clenched up. We double check, triple check, quadruple check. Where I'm wondering if we just play it a little more loose, or maybe there are lessons from the fantasy playoffs that we can use the rest of the year. There was one idea that Sigmund Bloom brought up in this week's, I think it was on the couch, the idea of playing defense on waivers. Like instead of just picking a player you need on waivers, thinking about like, well, what if a guy has Jamal Charles? Can you pick up Nile Davis as like a defensive move so he can't have that player? Even if you're not going to start a guy, to grab him on your roster so somebody else can't have him. They were talking about
that requires too much work for me. I'm not
too much work.
Yeah. I don't go out, and maybe that's why I'm not playing for the big bucks or whatever. But I don't. I do when you're drafting during the draft. Now I do go over and look at what other people have on their what they've drafted, so that I can kind of figure out what people might be doing ahead of me. Now going to individual rosters and look and trying to figure that out, that's just too time consuming.
Well, I think at this point, I mean, now where there are only like 3 teams left, or you could just look at the one team you're playing and say, who do you need, and make those kind of moves. I mean, I was thinking of just planning ahead. Guess who I picked up for next week? I picked up the Jaguars defense. Why? Because they're playing the Titans at home.
Now I do that because I picked up Chris. Yeah, I picked up Chris Johnson a couple of weeks ago because I knew they were going to be playing the Titans.
So, do you think Chris Johnson this week is going to be a Mango-Rita player or a regular beer player?
I think he's going to be Champagne, baby.
Champagne or Champale? Really? Huh.
Tickle me pink.
Tickle Me Elmo. Okay, that was And I guess another thing for fantasy football, you got to realize what a player is, not what he was projected to be. So pick the best dang players. Look what's happening to poor Peyton. What's going on? Teams that had Peyton probably didn't do so well last week. Or Jimmy
That's
Graham.
why. That's
My
why it's
dad
hard to.
had.
It's. I mean, it's hard to project. You just have to. You do all this. You know who the good players are, and but it's hard to project. I was pretty certain that Peyton would not repeat what he did last year, because it's incredibly hard to repeat that.
What was strange about last year, it reminded me of that Patriots year where they just poured it on. They had big leads and they just kept trying to score. And the Broncos just kept throwing the ball so Peyton could break records. And last week they were just running the ball all day. Like I guess just because Demaryius Thomas was hurt, Julius Thomas was hurt. It seems like Peyton every week throws Emmanuel Sanders into like a concussion. So they're just like, screw this, let's just run the ball because they can. Not sure if that's going to work in the playoffs, but it did last week. But yeah, are you predicting that this is the second straight week that a completely demoralized team comes in from New Jersey to beat the Titans?
Yeah, I think that this game will be closer than the last game.
Well, I hope
Um,
so.
I don't expect it to be like that. I mean, at least poor Jake Locker is going to have. I mean, hopefully they're giving him first team reps. Although with this group, with this bunch, yeah, nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, what's the deal?
For all we know, they're going to split snaps between Jake Locker and Charlie Whitehurst, and
Hmm.
have that Mettenberger lead the meeting room because that's how they roll.
Yeah, what's the deal with Mettenberger? Like he got hurt, and at first it was like he's on IR, but they haven't put him on IR. So what's going on?
I don't know.
Yeah. We don't
Apparently,
know. They don't
apparently,
know.
apparently, it's a good thing to keep him around, just to remind Jake Locker that he was never the guy.
We didn't draft you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a tough spot, and you have to feel bad for him in a way, or maybe he got out lucky because he can't do it again in the next 3 games because it doesn't look like the offensive line's
I
getting
think he
better.
got out lucky. It sounds like he's going to be okay. There's no lasting damage that we're aware of. They would be crazy to risk him anymore, but I thought that they were crazy to put him back in after the first injury. So,
Well, they are kind of crazy.
is that kitty cat I hear in the background?
Oh, he's napping right now.
Uh,
We're both on calls. Me and the wife are on calls. Always business. So
uh,
Geno Smith, you think Geno Smith's going to lead him to victory? Geno's pick six Smith?
I think Pro Bowl quarterback Geno is going to come in here and maybe have. It wasn't a friendly environment for Geno the last time he was here, so we'll see. Is it going to be a repeat?
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
It's kind
So
of amazing to think that the Titans might have been the ones to break the Jets. Mike Griffin hit on Stephen Hill, concussed him. He was never the same after that. They sacked Geno Smith, I forget, 6 times, something like that. He's not really been the same. So
well, that game was the kind of the peak of the Munchak era because they were playing that. The defense was playing well, and they were doing that kind of the Chiefs game where they had the lead, and the defense had played well. And Jake Locker had like 3 touchdowns in the first half, then he got hurt because I remember I was in San Francisco on business, and I left at halftime because they were winning by so much. I didn't even see Locker get hurt. What's sad is, the Jets have 3 interceptions all year, and they have a really bad secondary, but the Ravens had a pretty bad secondary, and the Titans couldn't do anything against them, at least after like the second drive of the game. After giving Sean Green
Or
a goal line carry and he fumbled.
or the Steelers, or I mean, they did a little bit more against the Steelers, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. If they could just run that out and up where nobody covers Washington, that would work. It doesn't happen very much. We have those breakdowns.
Can we quit talking about the Titans? I'm out of beer.
It's painful, isn't it?
Mm.
So when does Tennessee play? What's their bowl game?
It's actually after New Year's. I think is it? I
Oh,
don't
really?
know.
Is it like that weekend? So it's
Yeah.
like the 4th or something?
It's a nice slot. It's a nice little gig for them. I hope that they win. They should win. They're playing Iowa, for God's sake. They should win. Um, so good for them for making a bowl. Proud of them.
Yeah, finally Missouri's getting that goal of, I think it's their first New Year's Day bowl. Well, it's hard to say anymore because there used to be New Year's Day bowls and that was it. Now there's New Year's Day bowls and then there are bowls after. So, but hey, Minnesota, they haven't been in a big bowl in about 50 years. Although I think they have a good running back, but we'll see. Maybe our guys won't get kicked out of the game for tackling a quarterback like last week. But who cares? You see, Gary Pinkel was named Coach of the Year in the SEC, which means it was a down year for coaching, right?
Yep.
Yep. You got a drink or, oh wait, I'd say call it a night, but you've been awake for like an hour, right?
I've got water. I've got a little bit of water left, so I'm good.
A little bit of water.
I've been up, let's see. I woke up, it was somewhere between 5 and 5:30.
That's just
It
good
was an
talk.
awesome nap, I'm telling you. And you're actually lucky that I woke up because I had woken up a couple of times. I had the TV on. I had turned on a movie. I was watching The Abyss and slept through The Abyss and then turned it back on to the TV. And I don't even know what was on. I just had it on to have it on. And I woke up and I rolled over and I saw that it was dark outside and I was like, ooh. And I didn't have my phones. I hadn't left my phones on the charger charging. And so I flipped up the cable thing to see what the time was. And I was like, oh, I guess I better get up. But you're lucky I woke up because I very well could have just slept right on because I was sleeping so good. Oh, God, it felt good.
Is that like the week I did the show solo when you were sick? You were on your
You know
deathbed.
what? I haven't even had a chance to tell you this. I mean, it took a while. I never did get over that, and they've got me on antibiotics.
You never got over that or Peyton, right?
Peyton?
Peyton! Never been the same for Tennessee since Peyton in that national title. And
Oh, come on. Whatever.
No?
Peyton was fine. I mean, he was doing his thing. They were making sure that he was going to be a good draft prospect and possibly win the Heisman. And, they won the national championship the year after he left. With who?
With the guy they named the other street after. Can't remember his name right now. T. Martin. There you go.
Yeah, right.
He was drafted. And I think he's a coach of Florida State now. I can't remember.
No, USC.
But he's trying. He's trying.
Or maybe he's left USC. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't kept up with him lately. There is one of our running backs, our former running backs, is coaching at Florida State.
Not Jamal Lewis.
No, not Jamal Lewis. Little man.
Jamal Lewis and Travis Henry. Those two great legacies right there. Anyway. You got lots of running backs. All your guys get in the NFL somehow. Even though I don't know if anyone's going to draft any of your receivers for a while. I'd be a little nervous.
The last one,
That's good.
well, Torin Poole has kind of bounced around some practice squads.
Yep.
Let's see. I guess Montario Hardesty. Rajon Neal, before he ended up on IR for the Packers, he was undrafted though. I mean, the last drafted, I guess, was Montario Hardesty.
Yeah, that's where dynasty leagues can lead you astray because I'm pretty sure I took him like with the 6th pick in a rookie draft, and I don't know what happened there, but he failed and failed hard.
He did fail. Yeah. With the Browns, for God's sake.
Yeah. I think it was one of those years where I was trying to lock up the Browns running game for some stupid reason, and yeah. I ended up with Peyton Hillis. He was actually good for like a year. 1 year, but that's enough. Sometimes 1 year is all you need. So, Sharona, do you have any final hot takes for this week? Anything you need to share with the viewing public?
We need to talk about what we're going to do during the off season.
Well, the good news is the Titans won't be losing every week, so that's a bonus. There's always football stuff to talk about. Always.
I've got thoughts. My people will get with your people, Zach.
Oh, okay. That's good.
All right. I've got some
Is that your
thoughts.
puppy will get with us? The puppy? The
She's been good. I'm gonna have
Tom?
to. I should tell you this, and I realized this morning. We have some of the funniest conversations. It really is kind of amazing. She's smart, which is part of the problem. But I figured out this morning that she answers to asshole, which is funny and kind of sad at the same time. So I'm gonna try to do better.
Well, at least you can start calling me that. Although I hear in the South, ass is a term of endearment sometimes.
Can be.
It depends.
Bless your heart. You're an ass, but you're my ass.
Bless your heart. Yeah, it's a very Southernism thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've had my last road trip of the year. Would really like to get to a Missouri home game next year. Do a little more traveling. I don't know if I follow Titans, but I need to follow another football team to glory. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed the one double A experience. It was cool. And I stopped on the way back and I got my UTC shirt. So now I'm ready to go. All things Mockingbirds. They were the moccasins, but someone complained, so now they're the Mockingbirds, which is actually, he used to have a conductor's hat because of the Chattanooga Choo Choo, but I think they got rid of that, sadly. But anyway, go UTC. They're one team I've seen that actually has like a uniform combo that I like.
Have
So,
they produced any NFL talent besides T.O.?
pretty much TO, and at first I thought the Titans had a defensive lineman who was from there, but I think he was actually from Memphis. So that didn't work. They don't, yeah, it's not very often. They actually had a quarterback who was at the Packers last year, and he like totally emulated himself after Peyton. And I think he was the last guy left. Like they cut all their quarterbacks but him and Aaron Rodgers, and the next day they signed Seneca Walls and cut him. So he didn't make the team. So yeah, they don't have too many pro prospects. They used to have the guys that would get kicked out of Tennessee would go there, but I don't think they have any of those right now. But hey, what do you know when you're there in the tournament? It's like fantasy football. You get in a tournament and see what happens, and do your best, and hopefully you won't end up like Jake Locker, right?
Right.
So sports by Sharona, where do you find the mighty Sharona? What's she up to these days?
You can find the mighty Sharona on Twitter at Sports by Sharona. You can find me on my website, the same name. You can find me every morning on 7:30 Yahoo Sports, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time on Game Over with Vashti and Sharona. And you can find my Titans recaps at Pro Player and previews at Pro Player Insiders, and check out my latest article on the good guys in the Titans community doing good things on NFL Female.
Looks like you're still doubling me up on tweets. You're at 111,000? I swear you're at 104,000 last week. What? How?
Get on my level, Zach.
So every time you tweet, I'm just going to retweet you, and then we'll be even. That'd be perfect. I just have to do that. I have to follow in your footsteps. So yeah, Zach_Law on the Twitters. This will be the last margarita I have, hopefully, in this lifetime. FantasySports.org for all things fantasy football industry, and I think that's about it. So we're on our way, man. We are going for an exceptionally bad season. #1 pick. Let's do this thing. Come on, Titans. I believe we can.
If you're gonna suck hard, Titans.
Exactly. See, I couldn't say it better myself. So, that in mind, good night, everybody. Good luck, and win all your fantasy matchups, because that's victory for you.
Go fantasy.
Go fantasy. I had a fantasy. I rooted for a good team. Oh, wait. Exactly. Wait, can I get this?
Hey.
Brown.
To closer.
The closer. I
Bye,
have the
y'all.
closer. Adios.